Hello everyone, this is Bill Griffin. Welcome to Different Take Podcast. If you like this content, please subscribe, like, share, comment. I really appreciate you watching. Today I want to talk about how we view children in the United States. I think there's a lot of people that do not hold children in high regard. This is my opinion. And I want to go through some things that kind of show you that. But I really believe that many people not only do not hold children in high regard, but they also are dead set on indoctrinating children and controlling them as power. So here's a couple of sort of big picture things I want to talk about. The first is the birth rate. Birth rates have gone down over the years. You can look in this chart as 1910, we're at 30%, or 30 babies per 1,000 people. Of course, life expectancy a lot lower, and that probably maybe have something to do with this, but we get to today, and we're around 10%. So you can see this really went down the Great Depression, and then, of course, World War II, the baby boom, where you're back up 27%, and then down to where we are today. People aren't having as many kids as they used to, and I think a lot of people view them as burdens. That's my opinion. One thing I point out is that when you see people on the left, the pro-choice abortion folks, the people that believe really strongly in this, and they're very emotional about it. I've never understood that. I kind of understand, okay, well, that's what you believe. You believe that women ought to have that right. I can get my head wrapped around that, but I don't understand this cheerleading of it and being just so thrilled that people get to do that, to abort babies. I don't understand it. Of course, many people don't view them as human beings because they don't view fetuses as living things. So in the last couple of years, we've had COVID come along, and what did we do to children? We scared the hell out of them. We masked them. We told them they couldn't go to school in person. We forcing many of them in many states to take an emergency use vaccine that's not for a problem that they really don't have a big issue with, health issue dealing with. COVID really didn't affect children. Everyone knows that. And I think worst of all, we're indoctrinating them with fear. This is Randy Weingarten. If there was ever a Washington swamp creature, she is it. She is, in my opinion, does not care about children. She is the head of the American Federation of Teachers, the second largest teachers union in the United States. But she's constantly in the news, and she's talking about everything under the sun about educating children. And one of the reasons she does that, I think, is to raise money to get contributions. And she also seems to be a publicity hound. But I don't think she cares about children. She was all for the teachers not going back to school during the COVID. She's all about the mask. When it became political and convenient, she switched. You think about teachers, and you think of many people consider teaching a noble profession, along with nursing. And how noble is it that these teachers, most of whom are very young age, weren't willing to go back to school because they had this fear. Not all of them, but it just doesn't seem that noble to me that you're in the business to teach children. I got to teach them. The online learning was a complete disaster, and masking kids for 2 years to this day in Oakland, California, and as of this date, it's Easter Sunday, April 17th. The Oakland city schools are still having their children wear masks. This is just fascinating to me that we care about children so much. We're going to mask them for well over 2 years. Even to this day, you have to mask a child on airplane 2 and up. So what happens is grandparents live across the country, and then the parents just say, I'm sorry, I just can't put my child on the plane. You're going to have to come see them, or maybe the grandparents are elderly and they've got the fear of COVID in them to the degree that they're not going to come visit there. It's just a total mess. I don't understand why you would have to mask a small child on an airplane. That's this is how much adults value children, that they'll put these rules on them. So we're not only indoctrinating fear, but some people are outright wide open, and displaying their intent to indoctrinate children. So this is a video of, and I live in Georgia, Gwinnett County School Board Chairman Terrence Johnson on a podcast. So check this out.
We all know that education is powerful. And this is really the foundation of our nation, is when we provide balanced education for our children, that we can change our nation, we can change the trajectory of the world. And so when you then look at the education system, then you say, well, what can we do to now change how our children think, so that we can use it in a way for indoctrination or for
That's right.
Power control.
So you heard it. Power, control, indoctrination. Straight from the horse's mouth. The interesting thing to me is the lack of respect she has for parents. She doesn't care about parents. She doesn't really care about, I don't think she cares about children. I think she cares about indoctrinating children, because she has other motives, in my opinion. She's a Marxist and a political activist through and through. There's, interestingly, there's a story of this weekend. It said, this is April 2022, Ron DeSantis in the state of Florida there's news reports that they're banned math textbooks because they include information that's intent that the intention is to indoctrinate instead of teach. I want to go through a couple examples of that, but it's interesting that the media used the word banned when in fact what they simply did was they rejected textbooks that they deemed inappropriate. And I'd like to show you some examples. So this is from Christina Pushaw's Twitter feed. Christina Pushaw is a spokesperson for Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida. This is a math question, she says, was in the Missouri school system. So you have an equation, a math equation, and I personally did not know, let me interrupt, I personally did not know critical race theory was injected into, or these ideas were injected in math. I always wondered how that could do that. And I don't really know that this particular question has to do with critical race theory. At any rate, this is the math problem. It's there's an equation, and then below there's a question, multiple choice question. For some odd reason, instead of just asking which answer represents Y and X, it asks, Angelou was sexually abused by her mother's blank at age 8, which shaped her career choices and motivation for writing. And then A, you have a couple number choices for Y and X. And then to the side it says boyfriend, B, couple numbers, brother, and C, couple numbers, and father. That is just simply amazing. Math is hard enough for a lot of kids to learn without distracting them with this weird question. And then later, another math problem. Equation goes x equals y minus 1, y equals minus 4x plus 21. Same question, or same sort of equation that you're trying to work out. And instead of just asking what x and y is, it goes Trying to support her son as a single mother, she worked as a pimp, prostitute, and blank. And then for A, you have two numbers, the word bookie, B, two numbers, drug dealer to the side, and C, two numbers, and nightclub dancer. This is just absolutely amazing to me. So this is the problem, and this is why these things were rejected, and it's going to be very interesting to see how the media attacks Ron DeSantis once again, doing things that the parents want in the state. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of parents look at this and say, you know, it's time to go to Florida because my school here isn't very good. As I showed you this school board chairman in the county I live, you could see she'd be all on board with this, I think, this nonsense. The next one is a word problem, and this word problem goes, a class has 30 students. There are 15 students that identify as non-binary. What is the ratio of other genders to non-binary students? This is a word problem, and word problems are necessary in teaching mathematics. But instead of just using a scenario that's not filled with distraction like this so that the student can actually concentrate on the equation and not what is a transgender. Wow, 15 out of 30, that's kind of high. Come on, what parent wants this? They want their kid to learn math. They don't want their kid to be. You're not going to learn math with you're distracted like this. Seems fairly obvious, doesn't it? But clearly there are people, a lot of people, that want to indoctrinate children, and they don't value children in the way parents do. They don't respect parents. Also got that last problem from Christina Pushaw's Twitter feed. Here's another one. This is a book. This is actually appears to be a book from a small child, for small children, I should say. The book reads, there's a child coloring with the crayons and whatnot, and I guess that's a doll beside her. It's not a person. But at any rate, she says, I have a girl, or the book says, I have a girl brain but a boy body. This is called transgender. I was born this way. Okay. So this is the kind of thing I think that parents are upset about and don't want their children exposed to for a few reasons. Let's just take this statement and ask the question, I was born this way. So you're teaching children that this is objective. This is not to be questioned. In other words, you're born this way and it's being taught in an uncritical manner. Can't question it. It's a given. There's no scientific evidence to support this. This is an opinion. This is a theory. This is a fact. But even if it were a fact, there's a lot of facts that children, even objective facts, that children or parents don't want their children exposed to at a young age. For example, the horrors of war. Their children under 10 exposed to that. See, there's multiple issues with this. If you have to say, though, this is a subjective, this is an opinion that this author has, and is expressing, the child is expressing an opinion. It's not expressing something that's a scientific fact or given. So many people may believe that it's given, but there is no such scientific evidence. Now, I'm not for banning these books, even the math books. I mean, you can't ban the math books. Parents want to go out and buy math books, or they want to send their children to a private school. But this stuff doesn't belong in public school. Most parents don't want it because let's think about this. There's many things that parents don't want teachers, and they shouldn't. It's kind of common sense. Don't want them discussing. They don't want them, said this other episode, they don't want them proselytizing their children. They don't want them talking about graphic sexual activities and that sort of thing. And there's just a whole number of things that teachers are prohibited from discussing with children. I think it's really quite strange, and I've seen teachers complaining about the recent bill that, again, Ron DeSantis sign that Florida legislature put through that you can't discuss sexual orientation, as I understand this bill. You can't discuss sexual orientation with children under the age of 10. I don't understand why a teacher would discuss their living arrangement, whatever that is, with their students. They're there to teach their students, not to discuss their personal lives. Parents don't want this. They also don't want a matter of privacy for the child, not to discuss their living arrangements, if they don't want to, with other children, and keeping that private. So teachers asking children about their living arrangements is really quite strange, and then teachers discussing their private lives, their living arrangements with the students is also really out of bounds, in my opinion. You may not agree with me. I'd love to hear your comments. Thanks for watching this Different Take podcast. Please subscribe, like, share. New episodes every Tuesday and Thursday. I really appreciate you watching. Thank you.